The money won last night and yesterday afternoon as well. In California it won, and in Florida it won. I'll tell you all about that in just a moment. Greetings, my friends, patriots, lovers of democracy, truth, and justice, believers in peace, freedom, and the American way. Thom Hartmann here with you. And here's the very simple thing. Mitt Romney, This actually, let me set this up in a different way. Yesterday, I was reading a letter from Thomas Jefferson. Right? This is what I do for fun. I mean, some people go out in the yard and play with the dog. I read Jefferson's letters, and I'm not kidding. and although if I had a dog, we had a dog almost my whole entire life. I love going out in the yard to play with the dog, but reading Jefferson's letters is just nothing quite like it. And this was in 1787. The United States was operating under the Articles of Confederation. So we were the United States, but we weren't really the United States yet. That wasn't until 1789 when the Constitution was ratified. So this was while the Constitution was being written. And the country was in kind of shaky shape. I mean, there was a question about whether these 13 independent nations, because the states really function as independent nations under the Articles of Confederation, could pull themselves together into one union, one nation. So there was a bit of a crisis, and Jefferson got this letter from an old friend of his, Edward Carrington. Jefferson was in France. He was the U.S. envoy to France at the time. He got this letter from Edward Carrington asking about this crisis that America was experiencing. Are we going to make it through? And Jefferson says, the tumults in America I expect would have produced in Europe an unfavorable opinion of our political state, but it is not. On the contrary, the small effects of these tumults seems to have given more confidence in the firmness of our governments. In other words, we're going to make it through. Don't worry. He says the interposition of the people themselves on the side of government, in other words, participating in government, people getting involved, has had a great effect on the opinion here. Now, he's here as France. He's saying the Europeans are noticing that the Americans are getting involved in their own political stuff. He said, I am persuaded myself that the good sense of the people will always be the best army. They may be led astray for a moment, but will always soon correct themselves. The people are the only censors of their governors. And even their efforts will tend to keep these to the true principles of the institution. In other words, as long as the people are aware of what's going on, as long as the people know what's going on, then this democratic republic that he helped birth by writing the Declaration of Independence not only can survive, will survive and prosper. But how do we do that? So Jefferson says the way to prevent these irregular interpositions of the people, in other words, the way to prevent us losing our way, is to give the people full information of their affairs through the channels of the public papers and contrive that those papers should penetrate the whole mass of the people. This is why they subsidize, this is why to this day, from Jefferson's time until today, fourth-class mail, newspapers in the mail are subsidized. It's why during Jefferson's time, they subsidized the cost of paper to print newspapers. It would be the equivalent of today subsidizing, saying, we're going to do everything we can to make sure that everybody in the country has free high-speed or inexpensive high-speed internet service. Because that's the papers of today. Or that the big media monopolies, just a few giant networks owning literally, like 5 companies owning well over 200 of the channels available on cable, that, we're going to break them up. Let's have some diversity here. He says the basis of our governments being the opinion of the people, the very first object should be to keep that right. And this is the famous quote from his, where he talks about newspapers and government. He says, and if we're left to decide whether we should have a government without newspapers or newspapers without a government, I should not hesitate for a moment to prefer the latter. But I should mean that every man should receive these newspapers and be capable of reading them. This is why he wanted universal public education. It's why he started the University of Virginia as a free college. Then it gets really interesting, because he's going to get to the rich here, which brings us to Mitt Romney in just a second. He said, I am convinced that those societies as the Indians, which live without government, enjoy in their general mass an infinitely greater degree of happiness than those of us who live under the European governments. He says, among the former, the Indians, public opinion is the place of law and restrains morals as powerfully as laws did anywhere. Among the latter, among the European governments, under pretense of governing, they have divided their nations into two classes, wolves and sheep. I do not exaggerate. This is the true picture of Europe. Cherish, therefore, Jefferson wrote, the spirit of our people and keep alive their attention. For if once they become inattentive to the public affairs, Congress, judges, and governors shall all become wolves. And experience declares that man is the only animal which devours his own kind. For I can apply no milder term to the governments of Europe and to the general prey of the rich on the poor. Clip number 3, Jacob. Mr. Romney.
I'm not concerned about the very poor. We have a safety net there. If it needs a repair, I'll fix it.
Right. Yeah, the Ryan plan. Let's turn Medicare into a voucher program. That works. You get this? I mean, Thomas Jefferson is rolling over in his grave. Right now, what we have is election outcomes that are purely the function of money. Yesterday in California, you had 4 Democratic members of Congress who could have voted to have single-payer health care up and down the state of California. It would have been one of the first states to do it. Well, actually, the second behind Vermont. But who knows? I mean, they might have been able to implement it earlier. And 4 Democrats... State Senator Alex Padilla, State Senator Juan Vargas, State Senator Michael Rubio, State Senator Rob Wright, all wimped out and said, no, we're not going to vote on this thing. In our morning meeting this morning, setting up the show, Sam, one of the people who works on our show, was tracking down who funds these people. All of these guys are taking money from the health insurance industry or the medical care industry, or it's like money won in California yesterday. Money won in Florida yesterday. Mitt Romney outspent Newt Gingrich 2-1 in South Carolina and still lost. So he didn't hedge any bets in Florida. He outspent him at least 5-1. And his PACs, he ran 13,000 ads, and Newt Gingrich ran 200. And why isn't this being talked about in the media? Why isn't it that every time this massive, and I'm no Newt Gingrich fan, I'm just saying, the guy with the most, and by the way, not just the most money. I mean, look at where this money came from. 200 donors to Mitt Romney's super PAC brought in $30 million. Now, just 200 donors brought $30 million into his super PAC. That super PAC spent $15 million in the Florida primary with 13,000 ads. John McCain, in his entire 2008 primary, from beginning to end in every state in the union, spent only $11 million. Mitt Romney just spent $15 million in Florida to eke out a little bit of a margin here. And by the way, Barack Obama's super PAC, $6 million so far. That's all he's got. Mitt Romney, $30 million from just 200 people? Man.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
As Jefferson said, experience declares the man is the only animal which devours its own kind. For I can apply no milder term to the general prey of the rich on the poor.